Hi, this is Huili Wang. Welcome to Cloud Access Security Broker CASB Fundamentals. In the previous lessons, we've been talking a lot about CASB functions, visibility, and control. Now here comes the question, where exactly do we want to place the controls? So now, starting this video, let's talk about deployment. We're going to cover 3 deployment modes in total, and this video will first talk about API deployment, that is, to implement CASB through the APIs from cloud application. API integration is a very common engineering practice today. According to ACMA, the latest statistics show that 83% of web traffic are API calls, and the API here, we mean the API from web applications. If you are using infrastructure as a service, IaaS, you might be running your own application in the cloud that is hosted by the cloud service provider, or if you're using software as a service, then you are using the application provided by the service provider. Still, they will have a full set of APIs published from the web application where they provide the entry point for you to integrate the CASB related activities. So the fundamental advantage of API mode is least friction and interception, because the opening the access point preset by the application, and there is a little engineering effort for you to really work on the accessing, breaking the existing flow. So that's a key advantage of using API mode. In API mode, the controls are put actually in the cloud application or cloud service you're using, and that can cover both data running in motion and data at rest. In motion means the data that's routing from the client to the service, and data at rest is only addressable using CASB controls at API mode. So that's what's unique about API mode. And it can provide a granular level of control, which means you can maybe scan the data in the cloud in your storage, or scan the configuration. That's what we mentioned in the thread. It's called Cloud Security Posture Management. Or maybe you will review each of the data elements, the permission of and the sharing status. And in addition, another advantage is since it's integrated, attached to cloud, it can also perform cloud-to-cloud transaction security controls. And one thing to note that most of the application will provide a RESTful API, and the authentication of the API is using OAuth protocol, OAuth 2.0. This mode has its own limitation. It does not cover everything. First and foremost, we put the enforcement through API to cloud, but that's under the precondition that we know the APIs and we know the service we're going to use, we're going to control. So that's sanctioned service only. For the unsanctioned services and maybe even unapproved services, you don't know the service existed, and for sure you will not be able to apply any API control over your CASB control over the API here. So that means only sanctioned services could be covered by the API mode, and the unsanctioned services, the other services are just running at large and will be covered by proxy mode, which we will touch on later. Again, even for sanction mode, sanctioned services, there is a restriction on the capability of the APIs published out there. So you might, if you have a good relationship with the service provider, you might want to ask them to develop some more API to publish for your additional functions. But overall, there's a dependency here on the service provider, on the service itself. And just we mentioned in the previous slides that using API, you have to go through the authentication of API. That might take a toll in the performance. And again, you will process the request coming there, but not all the API would be able to recognize the device information. So sometimes unmanaged devices, or if any specific control is applied to unmanaged devices, that might not be really addressable using API mode only. Again, have to resort to proxy mode. That was a quick overview of API deployment if you want to put CASB control up in the cloud, very closely bound with the service itself. Then the API mode would be the first thing to go. And we covered the advantages and the limitations on API mode. So in the next video, we'll move on to talk about proxy mode.